First Watch with Sheriff Mark Daniels on KWCD Bisbee Sierra Vista, hosted by Public Information Officers Carol Kappas and Grady Butler. First Watch is brought to you by Sulphur Springs Valley Electric Cooperative.
And welcome to Good Friday. I'm Grady Butler. With me is Carol Kappas and Sheriff Mark Daniels. Good morning.
Good morning, Cochise County.
Hello, everyone.
So we've got to start with some fun stuff that we've done in Cochise County this week. We had a kind of a historical nephew in town.
We did. Robert Kennedy. You know, it was exciting just to meet him. I mean, just part of the Kennedy family, and there's a lot of hype on him. Who is this mystery man that's running for president? And I had dealt with him several months ago about coming to Cochise County. And he went to Yuma County, met the sheriff out there and some others, and they were very pleased with him, very positive about who he was and how he interacted with them. And then he reached out and said, hey, can we come see you? His staff did. And I said, sure, of course, we'll entertain it. And we entertain anybody. Come see us if you're running for office. And we put that out there. It's not a partisan thing. Anybody can come with a purpose. Well, so he came down and we met him. And I saw on social media, Carol, where people were like, what's he like? He was a really down-to-earth guy with a lot of charisma. I mean, he came in the room. He went around and shook everybody's hand. I mean, that tells me a lot about a person. We've had other ones not do that. They come in, sit down, okay, let's go. Okay, you bet. But well received. I mean, just down to earth, asked a lot of questions from everybody, which I like. You know, if you're, I thought he was a good guy. Plus, like I said, got to meet one of the Kennedys.
And his one question I think took people off guard is, how many people can you fit in a Ford Focus?
Yeah, that seems to be the hot statement, or the hot question. And
yes.
I mean, what Brian McIntyre, the county attorney, said, 10.
10.
10. And but overall, it was a good visit. And again, he's running for president. He's an independent, I believe. We'll see what happens. I wish him well. And but if anything, he'll remember Cochise County in a positive light. It was a nice community roundtable with him.
And then yesterday they had a congressional visit, and they not only did the visit to get the briefing and do the border tour, but then they had a hearing, a field hearing.
They did, and they actually met in the morning with the folks from international trade through the ports. And I spoke to some folks that deal with that every day, and then they met with us, roundtable again, talking to folks, community members, went to the border and their big bus down there, and Chief Modlin from Border Patrol at Tucson sector gave them a brief at the border, and then they came back, did a congressional hearing, well attended, and I thought it went very well. Now, sadly, your optics of politics is what drives whether it was successful or not. I hate to say that, and I think people are just fed up with politics. I mean, I know I am. I'll say that, and because we're not getting anything solved. So we're the byproduct of these communities of the back and forth in D.C. Whether you go back to H.R. 2, where the House had a bill to secure the border, sat on the Senate never even looked at it. A year later, this comes up, and now the House has not shot it down. So either way, there's no winners here.
And you were also back at the National Sheriff's Association over the weekend talking about a lot of stuff.
We had our National Sheriff's Association meeting in D.C. It's our annual winter meeting. We have sheriffs from all over the country. They're there. Leadership. We have our CBP federal partners there, and one of the big topics there was the Senate bill. Where do the sheriffs stand on this Senate bill? I got a call from Senator Sinema's office on Friday saying, and again, we were not involved in putting that bill together, and not there's a requirement we have to be, but should we be? Of course, and that's my opinion. So I got a call Friday. I said, listen, come to the meeting on Sunday. You have your sheriff leadership from all over the country there. Come to the meeting. Let's talk about what the bill is. Let's talk about the facts of it, and let's go from there. Then it gives us a better educated approach for next week if we're going to support it or not. Nobody showed up. 120 sheriffs were there, people in the room. Nobody from Congress showed up. Monday, I get a call, Sheriff, we need your help. We need to talk about this bill. You had the audience in your neighborhood. I don't know what else I can say. So again, I was very transparent with it. We shared information back. Speaker Johnson met with the sheriffs from the House. Back with questions. Border Patrol leadership was involved from the union. Membership, again, that was involved all the way through. At the end of the day, got shot down. The national sheriffs actually voted against it. I don't know a lot of people know that, but they voted against it. They took a stance. And like I told Senator Kelly, and I told others, is this issue has been going on over the last 3 years. hype on the border is not something that's new to anybody today. It's been going on for 3 years, evolvingly getting worse. This should have been something we've been doing 3 years ago. Sheriffs at the table, mayors at the table, community leaders at the table, and governors at the table. At least having sessions with them to understand what do you like to see in this bill and talk specifics with them. That didn't happen. Guess what? The trust eroded it. And I shared that with the senator, too.
And one of the things that comes out of the border issues that we've been experiencing in Cochise County are the challenges with pursuits, failure to yields, and people driving crazy and causing death and destruction. And one of the things that you did on Monday was go up to the Arizona State Capitol, and you testified for that new pursuit policy.
Right. I got back from D.C. right to Phoenix and testified on that. And what the state is pushing, we have a felony flight law in Arizona. We're trying to put more teeth in it, which means we're trying to put more consequences. We had 414 people booked in our jail in the last 2 years for felony flight pursuits. We have to do something different. That's remarkable historical numbers compared to what we've had in the past. So, and that's just one county. So we're trying to get some more teeth in that bill. Our state congressional folks are pushing it. I don't think it's going to be a problem. It got waved through the committee, the MAPS committee up there. So I think that's going to go through. I don't see a problem with that. But again, those come down here that I know the public's tired of it, law enforcement's tired of it, but we catch them, and we will. But when we catch them, the consequences are going to be much stiffer than they are now. That's already a felony. It's going to be a stiffer felony on that.
And a new video that we showed to the Congress people yesterday was from Brian McIntyre's office about kind of the disregard for human life. Tell us about that video.
This is a video where a smuggler driver crashes his vehicle, not being chased. He's on one of the county roads, loses control, crashes. Migrants that crossed the border legally that were in the vehicle were thrown. I believe 1 or 2 were killed, and then a couple were injured. So the smuggler driver actually gets out, photographs everything, and narrates it. Has the migrants wave at him. He shows the deceased, and then leaves them out there. One, I think, was still alive when he left it. The other 2 walked down the road. The reason he did that was so he can show the cartels that he didn't rip the bodies. What I mean by that is he didn't steal the load of dope. He didn't steal the cargo, which is the money, the people being smuggled. That shows how senseless and disrespectful it is, why people are dying out there. 2 of the migrants walked down the road. The deputy sheriffs, the first ones on scene, they ask him, what's going on? Well, we're just out here walking. That's how afraid they are, the cartel. They even tell them, hey, we just crashed. Our friend's dying back there. So this was a case for a prosecution that Brian shared with us. I believe the case has been adjudicated now. I don't know the status of that. But either way, it just shows you how ruthless they are and how sad it is, the tragedies we're seeing. I thought it was a very good video by Brian McIntyre.
And after all of this heavy lift, you get to do something exciting tomorrow with a spelling bee.
We do. This is call that therapy, Carol. After a long week like this, we have the annual spelling bee, and I say we. The Cochise County Superintendent's Office is putting on their annual spelling bee, and if you haven't been to it, it's tomorrow, 10 o'clock, First Christian Baptist School, I believe it is, right there at Lenzner and 7th and Golf Links, 7th and Golf Links, right there. It's 10 o'clock in the morning. It's open to the public, free of charge. But seeing the kiddos from Cochise County come spell words I've never heard of, it's incredible. And I got to tell you kind of funny story. I'm going to poke at myself here on this one. When I first got asked years ago to be part of this as a judge, I said as a judge. So I'm like, wow. So I got there early, and they gave me the book of words and how to pronounce them and everything like that. So I started going through it, and about 10, 15 minutes later, one of the coordinators from the school came over and goes, Sheriff, what are you doing? I said, I'm reviewing the words. So how to pronounce them, how to spell them. She goes, you don't have to spell them or pronounce them. I said, I don't. She goes, no, you got to make sure they spell them right. I said, oh, that's all I have to do? Yes, thank God. Those words were huge. I put the book and went and had some pastry. But it was amazing the words they have. You come out and see it. You see these kids, they'll amaze you, the talent and the brains these kids bring to this. This is a competition tomorrow for them too, and it's exciting.
And they're younger kids, like they're
up to 8th grade. I think it goes all the way to 8th grade.
That's right. And so, like big words. You're not kidding.
Oh no,
really big words.
Seriously, I mean, I'm never be the smartest man in a room, but I'll tell you this much: some of those words I've never heard of. I mean, words is like, wow. what's that mean? So we have all that. So it's an education for me too. I should get some college credit for being there.
Another fun event that's coming up pretty soon is Cars for Kids, and you can still sponsor that event. You can get your car in that event. But tell us about Cars for Kids.
Yeah, if you're a business or an individual, you're looking to sponsor this sponsorship, we put that toward the programs. Cars for Kids, it's a program with the Boys and Girls Club and Fraternal Order of Police. We put it on for the Boys and Girls Club. Helps the programs, helps the outreach with the FOP. It's just a great program. It's the first Saturday, April 6th in April at Cal Ranch, Hobby Lobby parking lot. We get 2,000 to 3,000 people coming out there, and we have a public safety display of all the law enforcement. Come meet your law enforcement. They backdrop the whole event. We have all kinds of cool things going on. It's just a great event, but you can go online, Boys and Girls Club, register your vehicle. You can go get a hold of the Boys and Girls Club. We'll look at a sponsorship with you, too. If you need me to call you, I will.
And before you go, I understand you combine your stop of the week with your safety message of the week.
Yeah, I mean, it just shows you there's two of them, two stops I think are important. First of all, I was going to a dinner on Thursday night, and Border Patrol had called for a deputy assistance on a stop. So I was the first one there. I stopped there on the way to dinner. And they have this individual. He's driving a temporary tag, Colorado plated car. No paperwork on the car. He doesn't know who owns the car. I didn't have a driver's license, so when I took over the investigation, I asked him, I said, "Needs your driver's license?" And he goes, "Well, I gave some ID to the Border Patrol agent." He gave him a missing and exploited ID of a 6-year-old. He goes, "That's me." And, they give them the little safety cards. If you ever get taken, here's your ID, or you get lost, here's your card. I said, "Well, that's a 6-year-old, plus or minus." "Yeah, that's the ID you get." "No, that doesn't work." That doesn't work. I mean, you wouldn't recognize me at 6 years compared to now. And so, but he was down here doing illicit things. I promise you. So, but in Arizona, you have to show ID, a driver's license, you go to jail. So we detained him. I believe that's where he ended up. One of our interdiction deputies showed up and took it over. And then the next morning, I stopped to get a soda. And so I was leaving there, a car in front of me. Okay, I pulled out, so okay, the car in front of me, driving, had some issues, and then it stopped in a roadway. Completely stopped in a roadway. So, being law enforcement, I hit my lights, walked up, and long story short, she had no California plated car, no paperwork on the car, nobody in the car. There's only 2 people in the car. The passenger spoke very little English. And they both had Phoenix addresses, even though the car was out of California. Long story short is, she was so rude. She said she was down here for court, and by the time we got done, and she made some very bad allegations toward law enforcement down here. She's not a fan of the badge, I can tell you that much. But I asked her, I said, "Why are you here if you're from Phoenix at 7:30, 8 o'clock in the morning, whatever it was?" She goes, "I just got out of jail for smuggling. And you cops," and she went off. I said, "Well, okay." So she ended up getting 2 tickets. She got a prize again, so she has to come back down here for court. I know you say don't write her, she won't come back, but she's coming back for the felony charges anyway. But either way, you can't stop on the roadway. I mean, if you stop on a roadway, there's a good chance a law enforcement officer is going to turn his lights on and talk to you about why you're parked in that roadway. There's a violation of that. So, but it also shows you, no matter where you turn anymore, we're dealing with some kind of international crime nexus with this border. I mean, people being infected by the cartels, and that's a big issue we talked about this week. Is we got to start addressing these cartels for what they are.
And if you see something, say something.
Of course. Thank you so much.
And Sheriff Mark Daniels, we thank you for coming and talking to us today.
Thanks, everybody. Have a safe week.
And Carol, who do we have coming in next?
We have Marcus and Eric from SSVEC.
And it's First Watch, brought to you by Sulphur Springs Valley Electric Cooperative.
Keeping you up to date, Sulphur Springs Valley Electric Cooperative is proud to bring you First Watch.
And First Watch brought to you by SSVEC, and they happen to be in the building right now. And here's Marcus. Good morning.
Hey, good morning. How are you doing?
Good. And Eric, good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm wonderful. So let's talk about you guys. First of all, thanks for sponsoring the show again for a year. I don't know if we've officially said that, but again, one more year of First Watch thanks to you guys, Sulphur Springs Valley Electric Cooperative.
Thank you. You do a lot for the community. So,
as do you. Well, let's talk about what you're doing for the community right now. You've got your the SSVEC Foundation is launching Phase 2 of grants, but first let's talk about Phase 1. How did that go?
Phase 1 went well. We had over 60 teacher micro grants that were processed, and we have 18 applications for the educational entity grants. So the entity grants are up to $20,000.
And so that Phase 1 did well. And there's 3 phases of this, and you're about to kick off Phase 2.
Actually, phase 2 starts today.
Excellent.
Yeah, right now. So
how does phase 2 work for these grants?
phase 2 is the same as it was before. Out of the $1 million that was allotted to us by the board, a little bit more of that money is going to be passed out. This goes up into the summer programs and also continues with teacher micro grants, also for continuing education for them too.
So tell us about the teacher. What are those funds supposed to be asked for?
Okay, for the micro grants for the teachers, any program that they have in the class. Some of the really amazing things that we've seen come across in the applications were just additional things like microscopes for petri dishes. We're looking at books, little set programs that come in a box set that the teachers can use with all the kids that are in there. A lot of hands-on equipment that they didn't have in the classrooms.
And what are the entity grants? What are those being used for?
Those are for organizations or groups, even school districts, that have bigger projects up to $20,000 and STEM education. As long as it's on those lines, we're okay.
And who can apply for these?
You have to be in SSVC service territory.
Okay.
You have to be a teacher or a group, 501c3 organization or school district. That's all we ask.
Okay, then how do you apply for these?
If you go to ssvcyouthprograms.com, you will find an application there for both the NAT grant and the teacher micro grant. One other thing, though, if you applied for a grant previously, you can still apply for each one of the phases that you go along.
And you said that this is $1 million being handed out. Where does this money come from?
It's actually capital credits money that is returned to us. Years ago, it went to the state. We petitioned to have that and created a foundation to get that money back to us. So, and we did pretty good with that. And the money is earmarked only for educational programs and youth in our community. So the board decided to allot some of that money out this year, later last year. And we're going to be doing that till the funds are gone.
So remind us one more time of how to apply for these grants, both of them.
SSVCYouthPrograms.com.
This is such a great program to get money back into our teachers' hands, too, so thank you for doing that.
Oh, it's needed, and we want to be the ones to do it. So.
Also, I want to touch on an event you guys have coming up. You guys are behind the Yes Fair every year. Can you tell us anything about that this year?
Well, the Yes Fair is one of three affiliated international science fairs in the state of Arizona. So we have our fair at the end of the month. It starts on the 27th, award ceremony all the way through the 1st of March. But it's a lot larger than it has been since before 2020. So we need more judges. We need volunteers. We need our community. There's a lot of folks out there that have a lot of education, a lot of background that retired or still working. And we'd appreciate if they come out. And you can find that at yesfair.com.
Okay, so that's where they can volunteer. And I've also heard some rumblings that the prizes are going to be really cool this year.
Besides the foundation grant money, the board approved last year to double the prize money for the students and the teachers that participate. Yeah. We have a $5,000 senior scholarship and a $2,500 scholarship that the Wachukans have been giving for several years now.
So that's some great scholarship money going to students. So you can tell that SSVEC is behind kids. I mean, that's awesome.
That's one of our principles, commitment to our community.
All right, remind us how to volunteer for the Yes Fair one more time.
Yesfair.com.
That is so easy. I love it. Is there anything else you'd like to talk about SSVEC at the moment?
Just if you know a teacher, you know a student, if you're a parent and you have kids in school, let your teachers know. Let your teachers know to apply for the grant. Only thing we can do is say no, but I don't think we've said no yet.
I love that. Well, Sulphur Springs Valley Electric Cooperative, we thank you for everything you do in our community, including sponsoring this show. You guys are just behind so much right here in our community. Thank you.
No, thank you for having us today.
And First Watch, and it's brought to you by Sulphur Springs Valley Electric Cooperative.
Now back to First Watch, brought to you by Sulphur Springs Valley Electric Cooperative on KWCD.
And Carol, who is our next guest?
We have Colonel Ives from Fort Huachuca. Thank you so much for coming in today, sir.
Hey, thank you so much. And just as a reminder to everybody out there, because I haven't been on your show in a little while, I'm Johnny Ives. I'm your friendly neighborhood garrison commander of Fort Huachuca.
And so what are some of the things, when you were here before, we were talking about one of your goals was to just really pump up community engagement. So what's been happening on Fort Huachuca with that?
Oh, thanks so much for asking. So some of the things that I'm most proud of that we've been doing with the community include our education engagements that we've had. One of the big parts of letting people know that Fort Huachuca and Sierra Vista and Cochise County are the place to be means we have to show them that it's a place for your entire family to grow here. So getting into education was a big deal for us. One of the first things we worked with was with the high school. Of course, you saw us out there at the football games, just sort of helping out. And then we've also been working with Buena High School on a leader mentorship program where, some aspiring leaders in the school will come to the fort. They'll have an opportunity to work with people that are already leading, even though they're just barely out of high school themselves. And so these are people that are closer to their age, so they can see what real-world leadership looks like very quickly in life. And then we'll also put them through an exercise of some sort that walks them through, this is what you're going to be doing should you start to work in a field that takes you into emergency programs. And so we're thinking something along the lines of what we had last summer, where we had a 1,000-acre fire come through Fort Huachuca and burnt some of our power lines. And that creates a scenario, if you will, that then the students will have to walk their way through. How do you lead your teams through this? So we're thinking something like that would be good. We're also doing things like teaching the Army Combat Fitness Test at Pep Tech High School. And at Pep Tech, they've actually made that a high school graduation credit now. So that's something that we're doing. And some of those students have decided to join the military, but a lot of them haven't decided it. But it's something that's a goal, and it's mentorship, and we're right there with the people. We're also working with the middle school and a couple of other programs they're doing out there, like the reading program in coordination with the superintendent, Dr. Clay. And that reading program, you're going to see that blossoming across Cochise County very soon, because where that is businesses will actually have a library inside of their business, and they'll offer discounts or special events for the kids who do the reading program with their organization. And so on the fort, we're doing the same thing, opening up community book exchanges inside the neighborhoods, and we're getting a book vending machine on the fort. So those types of things. We've got volunteering going on. Of course, you see us all over the place, working with the Chamber of Commerce to make sure that there's business understanding, all these things that are happening that we're a part of. And then, of course, we opened up the fort. My whole goal was we have to fill in the moat around Fort Huachuca. After 9/11, we sort of threw up our walls, and there's a whole community out there that says, I've never even seen what's on the other side of the fence. Like, please, come walk in our hills. Come see our museum. Bowl in our bowling alley. Those types of things are out there. And then we have programs that your organizations can be a part of, like the Adopt a Spot program, where you can come in and help us beautify parts of Fort Huachuca. If you'd like to do that for one of your groups, especially children's groups, come out there, beautify a street corner, something like that. We're all in. So please come join Fort Huachuca.
That's a great invitation. And also, you have events that happen on Fort Huachuca as well that the community can sometimes get into. So tell us about some of the events you have coming up.
Oh, absolutely. We've got all kinds of great things. First off, I want to hit the Super Bowl. So Fiddler's Green. Fiddler's Green is a pub that we built at the golf course. If those of you that have been to our golf course before, you saw the Pepto-Bismol pink sandwich shop that was right there. Wasn't much to it, really. We took a group of volunteers and we went in and we painted it. We put wood interior on there. We redid the interior. It looks really nice. We have the NFL channel. We've got all the UFC fights. And for Super Bowl, we're doing specialty drinks and special food items. And it's kind of got this, once we redid it, it's kind of got this Irish pub meets sports pub sort of feel to it. Great burgers. People rave about our fried pickles. I'm not a fried pickle guy, but people rave about those things. So please come check those things out on Super Bowl. We've also got a Hiring Our Heroes job fair, hiring fair. And that's not just for soldiers that are getting out of the military. That's also for our families. It's for people to come in and see what jobs do we have out here in the community and on the fort. So that's always worth checking out. And that one's on the 22nd of February. So please. And then, of course, the rodeo's back in town, 16 and 17 March. The rodeo will be at Wren Arena, and that should be a lot of fun as well. Cochise College puts that on, but it's on Fort Huachuca, open to everybody.
So those are some cool events that you can get on Fort Huachuca. Remind us how to, as a civilian or a visitor, what do we need to do to get on post?
Well, first off, I would avoid felonies.
Yes, that's a good idea.
Yes, as long as you don't have a warrant out for you, you can just simply go to the Van Diemen Visitor Center, open during the day, and you go there, you provide your ID, fill out some paperwork, and you can get a pass to come onto the fort. And during special events like the rodeo, we don't make you get a pass. We simply just look at your ID and bring you on so you can get on quicker. But if you want to go hike our hills, you can do that. And by the way, if you live in the local area and your ID shows you have a local address, you can get a year-long pass. So this isn't every weekend I got to go through this pass process. You can get your pass and go hike our hills every weekend if you want.
Well, Colonel Ives, we thank you for the invitation to visit Fort Huachuca.
Well, thank you. And if I could just throw out one more thing. We've got a community calendar that we opened up. And if you go to the U.S. Army Fort Huachuca Facebook page, our community calendar goes out and finds about 54 different websites and Facebook pages worth of events. And we put it on there so everybody knows what's going on in the area and on Fort Huachuca.
That's amazing.
That is amazing.
Thanks for letting us know where that is as well. That's cool. Well, Colonel Ives, thank you for coming and talking to us today.
Thank you, sir.
It's First Watch on KWCD Country, and it's brought to you by Sulphur Springs Valley Electric Cooperative.
Now back to First Watch, brought to you by Sulphur Springs Valley Electric Cooperative on KWCD.
And in the studio next, we have our next guest from the Forest Service. Hi, introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Michelle Perez. I am the Public Information Officer for the Coronado National Forest.
And I'm Rebecca Hodgson Balderas. I'm a fire prevention specialist for the Sierra Vista Ranger District.
Excellent. So we've got some prescribed burns, and no matter how much we get this out, people still seem to wonder what's going on. So let's talk about it. First of all, why do we do prescribed burns? What is that?
So we are hoping to avoid any catastrophic events, such as what we went through in 2011 with the Monument Fire. So we're trying to make sure that we clean up some of the underbrush and some of the dead and down and do a fuels reduction project so that we run into less catastrophic events.
And so the Forest Service has some prescribed burns coming up. So when are those going to be?
So we're planning for Ash Canyon toward mid to late February, depending on the weather conditions and the moisture levels in the canyon. That's going to be, again, in Ash Canyon. We've got some piles out there that we're hoping to eliminate and clean up some of that here shortly.
And that's the next one coming up? Do you guys project these out even further?
We do project them out even further. We also have one coming up in the Border 3 area, which is straight down on the border area off of Forest Service Road 61. As you're going to the Coronado National Memorial out in that area, we're planning on that one possibly a little bit later in March.
So when people see smoke coming from the mountains, where can they get information on that might be a prescribed burn?
So they should probably check the Coronado National Forest Facebook page or the Twitter page. We're always going to post when we're out there. We're always going to hopefully let Cochise County Sheriff's Office know and all of the other PIOs in the area so that we can share our information around the county and get all of that out of there.
All right, that's some good advice. And you're a fire prevention specialist. Did I get that right?
Yes, that's correct.
That's a cool title, first of all.
Thank you.
But second of all, tell us, what does that, obviously what it means, but what does it mean?
Well, one of the things that I try to do is teach people how to make their house more fire-wise, so in the event of a fire, they have a possibility of surviving. And so we teach them just simple things that can make a difference, from mowing your lawn to maybe trimming up your trees. It's not about spending a lot of money. It's just about making small changes that can make a big difference.
Excellent. You have a program called Firewise.
Yes.
So tell us about that.
Yeah, so we come out for free to people's houses. They just give us a call or an email. We come out, we'll do an inspection on your house, we'll give you a report, and I'll give you 3 things that you can change to make things better.
That's pretty neat. So how do we take advantage of that? How do they get a hold of you?
They can call me at the Forest Service, Sierra Vista Ranger District. My number is 520-803-2818, or they can email me as well.
And do they have to live in the forest area, or is this for residents? Who can take advantage of Firewise?
Anybody can take advantage of Firewise, but mostly it's people who live in rural areas that I try to talk to.
That makes sense, yeah.
Yeah.
All right, so give us the email address where they can contact you.
Yes, it's Rebecca Hodgson Balderas at USDA.gov.
That's a mouthful, so let's go with the phone number.
All right, it's 520-803-2818.
All right, thank you for coming and talking to us about that today. And remind us of the dates of the prescribed burns before we go.
So we don't have hard fixed dates yet. We are hoping mid to late February for Ash Canyon. Next week, we're going to be working in the Cave Creek area of the Chiricahuas, the 13th and the 14th. We're planning on that. Again, everything is going to be determined by moisture and everything going on in the area, the weather in the area.
Well, Michelle and Rebecca, we thank you for coming and talking to us today.
Yeah,
Thank
thanks
you,
for
guys.
having us.
First Watch on KWCD Country. It's brought to you by Sulphur Springs Valley Electric Cooperative.
Giving you an inside look to your sheriff's office. Let's go back to First Watch on KWCD.
And I'm Grady
You've been
Butler. With
listening
me
to-
is Carol Kappas is also here with us, and our mayor of Sierra Vista. Good morning.
Good morning, sir.
It's Mr. Cleo McCaw. So you've got some events coming up for the Sierra Vista that you kind of want to talk about.
Yes, sir.
Can we start with the West End? What's going on over at the West End?
So the city continues to revitalize the West End, and with the West Sierra Vista Partnership Program and the streetscapes improvements to North Garden, the Garden Avenue project is our top priority this year, and it's in the upcoming budget that's starting July the 1st, and we hope to begin construction of revitalizing the West End, going from Garden Avenue north to the highway this in late summer, fall of 2024. So we're expecting to build up and have the streetscapes just perfect for the city of Sierra Vista.
And the West End is just looking so good, and you guys are doing some great things
Thank
there.
you, sir.
But you're also working on some parks. So tell me about Roadrunner Park.
So Roadrunner Park, that's the park. That is the park south of town, over by the Canyon de Flores area on St. Andrews and Canyon de Flores. And we're accepting design concepts to be presented to the city council and the community have their input, and we'll gather those remarks prior to final design. This is Grady. This is a 28-acre park to the south of the Canyon de Flores area, Garden Canyon Park, on the east side of St. Andrews Drive. So we're expecting some good comments from the community to see how we can build up this park over in the south end.
And that's going to be neat because park space is always a good thing.
Oh,
in Sierra
yes, sir.
Vista.
Yes, sir.
And then there's something neat coming up that's kind of a unique thing. It's called the Moonshot Pitch Competition. What is that?
So the Moonshot Pitch Competition, if you ever had an idea as far as an entrepreneurial adventure, we're asking you, with the collaboration of the Chamber of Commerce, we ask you to come out, give your 45-second speech this year. And the special thing about this year is we will include a youth concept for middle and high school age kids, in addition to the adult pitch. So if you have an entrepreneurial concept, come over, get with the city of Sierra Vista and the Chamber of Commerce, and pitch your idea, and you're able to receive prizes up to $10,000.
Wow, that's pretty good. Well, Mayor McCaw, we thank you for coming and catching us up on things that are happening in Sierra Vista.
Thank you for the opportunity, sir.
And you just mentioned the Chamber of Commerce, who's also in the building. We've got Melanie here to talk about a special visitor that we've got coming to our area.
Good morning, Grady.
Good morning. So who's coming?
So we have Governor Hobbs coming, so the governor of Arizona. She's going to be here on Tuesday, February 13th, and the event actually starts at 5:30 p.m. at the Klein Performing Arts Center. We're very excited. It's kind of a state of the state. We haven't been able to do that since 2020, so we're excited about that. We are nonpartisan. We are hoping to have our governor, no matter who he or she may be, down here every year. But this one's going to be a little bit different. So if you watch the State of the State online, and you heard what she had to say, that's wonderful, but we're going to do more of a fireside chat. So we're really going to be talking specifically about Cochise County in southeastern Arizona.
And where is this going to be taking place?
At the Klein Performing Arts Center. So the doors will open on Tuesday, February 13th. They will open at 4:30, and then the event will start promptly at 5:30. But we're excited, and everybody in southeastern Arizona is invited to attend. You do have to get your tickets online, though, and of course there's an overhead cost for us to put this on, so that's what the ticket prices go for, to cover those costs. But get the tickets at svachamber.com, and you do need to get those in advance.
And so is there a deadline to purchase the tickets?
So the deadline is literally the day before.
Okay, good.
So you have until Monday to get the tickets.
All right, well, give us that web address one more time.
So it's svachamber.com.
All right, well, you can go get your tickets to go see Governor Hobb there. We thank you for coming and talking to us today.
Thank you.
All right. Also in the studio from the Sierra Vista Police Department, we've got Scott Borgstadt. Good morning.
Good morning.
And so you just walked in the door, so I don't know what you're here to talk about, but I think it might
We
be
talked about this
aggressive
last
driving,
week.
right?
Yeah, well, not aggressive driving per se, but we've started the first of the year putting out monthly traffic tips type stuff. The first in January. The article was about Class G licenses and the restrictions that new drivers have on their license, different than someone over the age of 18. But this month we put out a PSA regarding right turns on red.
Okay.
And it was kind of funny because at the end of January, I got a lot of interest in these articles, and this was actually a suggestion from a citizen here in Sierra Vista. And his question was, okay, if I'm sitting at a red light, am I required to make a right on red?
That's a good question.
That's a great question, I thought. So we looked at the statute a little bit, and there's two words in there that I think are very important. The first is stopped, and the second is may. So the requirement is you have to stop before you may make a right on red. A lot of times we see known as California stops or whatever, people will just go ahead and turn, and I pulled people over there, for that, and they said, yeah, but I can make a right on red. Yeah, but you have to stop first. So that's the first requirement. The second is you have to stop and make sure it's safe to turn before you do that, but it's not a requirement. So if someone doesn't make a right on red, they are perfectly legal to sit until the light turns green. However, I did warn this person, you may get some angry folks behind you, especially, or you will get some folks behind you that may be a little angry about, not making that right on red, especially if there's no traffic coming, for that. But no, it's not a requirement, but yes, you can. Now, been 2-3 weeks we've been getting, and I think the Sheriff's Department's been getting calls regarding some social media stuff that's been out here where the Arizona law changed and you can only make a right on red if there's a sign permitting it. That's false. That's not true. That's one of those social media myths that got out there. Per the statute, you may make that right on red after you stop. Now, it can be prevented or prohibited if a municipality feels an intersection is dangerous. They may post a sign that says no right on red. Then it would be illegal to make that right turn. But Arizona law did not change. It's still the same as it's been for years. As long as I've been on a department, which is a really long time, you can make that right on red after you stop.
I have never been so educated on right on red. That is every detail I think we need.
Pretty much, I think.
The only thing I'd like to add, if I can get off in the weeds for a little bit, is the lane. Choose the right lane when you make your right turn.
Yeah, that's always been an issue. We see it here in Sierra Vista. We see it everywhere in Arizona. When you make a turn like that, you have to turn to the same lane that you're going into. You can't go make a wide turn. If you're going from the inside lane, you can't go into the outside lane, and vice versa. You can't go from the outside into the inside. You have to maintain that lane and then signal to make that lane change.
Excellent. Well, Officer Borgstadt, we thank you for coming and talking to us about right turn on red.
Thank you.
That's Scott Borgstadt from the Sierra Vista Police Department. It's First Watch on KWCD Country, and it's brought to you by Sulphur Springs Valley Electric Cooperative.
You've been listening to First Watch, brought to you by Sulphur Springs Valley Electric Cooperative. Keep up to date. Follow the Cochise County Sheriff's Office on Facebook, and tune in next Friday, 7 a.m. for